Hello and good morning. I'm not feeling great this morning. I ate too much acidic food last night because it was my birthday. We had lots of junk. Hi, I didn't actually introduce this vlog. Welcome. I need to put some books on my bookshelves. I went book shopping yesterday. You can go watch the last vlog to know the details, but before I put them on my shelf, I figured this would be a good time to come and tell you what books I will most likely be reading this coming week. In case you're not aware, because you didn't read the title of this video, I'm doing Becca's Bookoplathon, and so I have already rolled 11 rolls, but I've already read 4 of those books, so I'm rolling as I go. And unfortunately last week I was really kind of being a mood reader, so I wasn't reading what I was rolling, so I just kept rolling. But this week I am determined to actually knock off some of those books that I rolled for last week. The Tiger's Daughter, which I am partially through, I'm going to be reading and listening along at the same time for this one. And then The Killing Moon, which I'm going to just be listening to, by N.K. Jemisin. And then Pet Sematary, which I'm doing a buddy read with, so I'm trying not to get too far, but I think I might just try to finish it this week because I'm here and I'm loving it. I love this book. This is a reread for me. I'm reading it with Olivia Reads a Latte in her Discord. And then I am going to be reading To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which is an arc coming out on the 15th. And then I'm going to be reading and listening to A Torch Against the Night. And then I'm going to be reading Mistborn. And then I'm going to be listening to Words of Radiance. That is kind of just a really quick sum up of what this week is going to look like. Look at me. Actually, don't look at me. Don't. So I finished To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Oh boy. I really wanted to like this book. I really wanted to like this book. I realized at this point, earlier I didn't realize, but I realized at this point that my video review for the book will have already come out by the time this book comes out, this video comes out. You just need to go and check out last Friday's video to see what my thoughts are on this book. So I finished the book and I rated it 2 stars. Just go watch that video. In better news, today I watched 2 movies. I don't normally watch movies because when I do, this is what happens. I watched 2 movies. Was that Friday or is that yesterday? I watched 2 movies on Friday and then I watched 2 movies today. And I fully expect myself to watch at least 1 tomorrow, if not 2. I watched The Hustle, the movie with Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway first, and it sucked. Do not recommend. I love heist movies. First off, there wasn't a heist in this. It was just supposed to be like a con movie, which same like general idea. I hated it. First off, the message at the end of the movie sucked. I don't know how any woman either working on the film or being around the film saw the ending of that movie and said, yeah, this is good, let's do this. Because, you know what, I'm just gonna spoil it for you. It ends up being that Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway, the whole entire movie, are like, oh, women are taking advantage of men and that's why we're able to do this, is because women have emotions but men just take advantage of women's emotions, and they end up getting conned because of their emotions by a man. And that is dumb to me. I think that if you're gonna have a movie with 2 female stars, because basically it felt like the movie was trying to combat all of these movies that have like 2 male stars. And so for the movie to have 2 female stars and to have both of them be intelligent for different reasons and be shown up by a man in the end wasn't pretty, sis. I did look up reviews afterwards and pretty much everyone hates the movie, so I should have known going in. It was bad. Whoever wrote that movie, if they'd done the ending well, I would have enjoyed the movie. I mean, yeah, there were some really dumb scenes throughout, and Rebel Wilson is just kind of awkward. Like, the camera just stays on her too long. Otherwise, I don't mind her. I liked her a lot better in Pitch Perfect. I think that maybe that movie had better vibes for her. Then I watched the movie A Simple Favor. I thought that was going to be a funny movie, and there definitely were a few funny moments, but I don't think I ever laughed in that movie. And it was definitely more of a thriller, and I don't think a ton of people know about this movie. I actually checked it out, 1, because I thought it was gonna be funny, and 2, because whoever designed the poster for it did like a really good job. I love that poster so much. So I watched the movie. It's actually based on a book. I didn't know that until I finished and I was asking people for recommendations based off of this movie. It's about this woman who she's a mom, she's a single mom, and she becomes best friends with this other mom at her school. and they're both like extremely different types of people, and they've only been best friends for I think it's like a week or two when the other mom disappears. She asks the first mom, the single mom, to take her kid home from school and never comes to pick him back up. And the first mom, the single mom, takes care of the kid and starts to investigate her disappearance, and not to spoil anything, but starts to take over Emily's life and starts to kind of become Emily. And so the entire movie, what was really cool is I didn't know who was the thrilling aspect. Like, I didn't know if Stephanie was the person who made Emily disappear because she wanted to take Stephanie's life. I didn't know if Emily's husband was the one who made Emily disappear, and this was something that he did reoccurring every once in a while to a different woman and kind of turned her into his wife and then killed her off and then did it to like another woman. I didn't know if this was something that Emily did every once in a while and kind of went on the run, changed her whole entire life, got someone to replace her. I was just so not sure, and I loved it. Oh my god, I freaking loved the movie. If this were a book, I would rate it 5 stars. I guess you can rate movies 5 stars. I loved it. It was 5 stars. Unlike To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. How do I even abbreviate that? TSIASOS. Unlike TSIASOS. In normal fashion, I didn't update you at all yesterday. I mean, were we expecting anything else? I didn't read anything yesterday and kind of thought it would be pointless for me to come in and talk to you then when I could just kind of tell you about yesterday today. We went kayaking. It was lovely. It was so peaceful and relaxing. There were more people out on the water than we thought there would be, but we were told that Monday was actually the lightest day of the weekend, so we were fortunate about that. The weather held. It sprinkled a little bit in the afternoon, but by then we were off the boats and we were out doing other things. We saw some really cool wildlife. We saw an otter, we saw alligators, we saw lots of birds, turtles, butterflies. Some of the people who were also on the water told us that they saw monkeys and manatees, which we have seen before at this spot, but we did not see them yesterday. Overall, really cool day. Then we came back and we went swimming at my pool for a little bit. Well, we had lunch. We did some quick shopping that I needed to do. I got a fan for my porch, which means I'll be more comfortable out there reading. Then we went swimming, but the pool was really crowded, so we didn't stay very long. Then my parents came back and fixed a few things in my apartment that they know how to do and I don't. Today, my goal is to read some more Pet Sematary. I'm currently in the middle of chapter 22, which is like the first big chapter of the book, not only in length, but also in importance. I'm really enjoying the book. I just put it down for a few days to finish To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, so I'm picking it back up now, and I'm gonna try to go back into my pattern of reading 10 chapters a day for it. After I do a good chunk of that today, my goal is to start A Torch Against the Night. Well, today has been weird. I accidentally kept reading while I was doing Pet Sematary reading. I was listening to the audiobook at work, and I got to chapter 32. So didn't stop at 30, and I don't have plans on reading any more today. So I guess tomorrow I'll read to chapter 40 and be happy with that. Also started A Torch Against the Night. I think I'm in like chapter 2 right now. Don't totally know. I was a little bit zoned out when I was listening to it at work, so I might just start that over. Something kind of happened. It's been slowly building, but today it's official. I am going to start looking for other means of employment. It's been slowly building for a while now. Some last straws hit last week, and I actually started looking for a job on Thursday, I think it was, but I applied to like 3 places. So I feel like that's not a serious step. Whereas today I actually went out of my way, applied to around 10 to 15 places, and was actually on the hunt looking for jobs in my area or jobs that I could do online. It's a long story and I kind of don't want to tell it. I'm going to stop thinking about that and go for a walk. I actually just changed so that I could go for a nice walk. And while that's happening, I'm going to be listening to something. Maybe I'll listen to The Tiger's Daughter because it's been a little bit since I've listened to that. That sounds good. That's what I will put my focus onto. I was going to focus on A Torch Against the Night, but no. Hello. Welcome back to the vlog. I welcome you back, but I'm the one who has left, not you. I'm less enjoying it now, and I don't think that has anything to do with the audiobook. I think it's because when this book starts out, the main Empress protagonist, there's kind of like two main protagonists, but one of them receives a box full of letters, and I thought that that box full of letters was going to spark the plot, but I think the entire plot of this book is going to be her reading that box of letters where she's like going back through her childhood and how she grew close to this other woman. And then I listened to 10 pages of A Torch Against the Night, which is a reread for me and I'm loving. I think I'm going to keep listening to this while I'm kind of getting ready for bed. I need to update my journal, do a few small things, and then I'm gonna stop reading for tonight and catch up on some booktube videos slash possibly go back to watching The Good Place for the second time. Hello, welcome to Wednesday. Today I had a really busy day at work and then we went out after work to go celebrate my birthday. So we had like a lunch thing and then I had to run to the store because I needed a, you can't see it, straight edge cutter. I'm home. I have been listening to, oh my God, it over there too. I've been listening to Pet Sematary almost all of today, and actually this is not accurate anymore. So I just started chapter 55, which puts me about here in the audiobook. That means I have exactly 2 hours left. So on times 2 speed, it'll be 1 hour left. I'm gonna pause right now. I have the final piece of my birthday cake, so I'm going to eat that and I'm gonna watch an episode of The Good Place. And then after that, I still have some time before I go over to the family dinner tonight because it's Wednesday. We always have family dinners. Yeah. So I'm either going to continue working on shop stuff, which is what I've been doing since I got home from the store, or I'm going to go for a walk, chill out, not worry about stuff so much. So if I go back to working on shop stuff, I'm going to be picking up, it's not an Ember in the Ashes, A Torch Against the Night. I'm picking up A Torch Against the Night and trying to finish a few more chapters of this. I'm thinking I'm going to try to finish. Okay, so my goal is to finish this book tonight or early tomorrow morning and to finish this book tomorrow night and then to finish this book on Friday night. I think it's a reasonable goal, honestly, at this point, especially because I kind of worked extra on Monday and so my Friday is gonna be really, really short at work. I finished Pet Sematary. Okay, I have to go, so we'll talk more about it later. Fresh out of the shower. Hi, welcome back. Apologies, I had to leave real quick earlier. Went over to family dinner. I finished Pet Sematary and I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about it. So something that's really cool about this book is this year I started using Cawpile, and this is the second time this year I've read this book. So I actually hadn't read Pet Sematary. I didn't start Cawpile until later in the year. I don't remember exactly when I started it, but it was later in the year. So I went back and redid Cawpile for everything I had already read this year. So I have my Cawpile from the first time I read it, but it's not 100% accurate because it's not from when I actually read it. It's from thinking back onto when I read it. I pulled up the numbers. I did the ones this time without looking at the ones from the past, and then I pulled up the old ones and I want to talk to you about the comparison that I have for them. So I mention this every single time I talk about my Cawpile, and that is that I use like a bastardized version of it. So I took what Book Roast did with it and I kind of made it my own, which you can very easily do. She has no issues with that. So some of my categories are just a little bit different than hers, and it's because that's what I rate books on. My first few are the same. The first time I read Pet Sematary, I gave characters an 8, and I also the second time gave characters an 8 because overall I really enjoyed them for what they were doing, but I didn't like them as people, and that's the best way I can explain that. And then the first time for Atmosphere, I gave it a 10, and the second time I gave Atmosphere a 9. So Atmosphere is like world building stuff. I think the first time I was more entranced into it because I didn't know what was gonna happen, but this time knowing what was gonna happen caused me to just not like it quite as much. But 9 is still a really high score. And then the writing, the first time I gave it a 9. The second time, this is the biggest change, I gave it a 6. And that is because since I knew the story already, I could really focus on some of the words that Stephen King uses, and I wasn't a fan of those words. I am going to be talking about this a lot in Olivia Reads a Latte's group discussion that we are kind of having right now, and I've already made a few comments on it. And now that I've read more Stephen King books, I have started to notice that he just sometimes picks the wrong words to talk about things. At one point, he directly says on page that because the cat was spayed, which he got wrong, it should have been neutered, because the cat was spayed, it was no longer a he, it was an it. And I didn't like that. Why do you gotta say shit like that, King? Why? Misery was worse. Honestly, a lot worse. For plot, the first time I gave it an 8 and the second time I gave it a 9, so apparently I liked the plot better the second time. I know that both times I felt like the story was pointing in something was going to happen to one of the children, and then it happens to the one that I didn't think it was going to happen. And that's one of the reasons why I love this book, is because I felt twisted both times, even though I knew like which kid was going to have the incident. Logic, the first time I gave the book a 7, the second time I gave it a 9. So I think I was able to look past some of the like paranormal mysticism stuff this time going in, because I knew that it was going to happen. Enjoyment, the first time I gave it a 10, the second time I gave it a 9. Memorable, that's my own category. The first time I gave it a 10, the second time I gave it a 9. And rereadability, the first time I gave it a 10 and the second time I gave it a 9. That was really fun to look at. So the first time the overall score was a 9, which would get it a 5-star, but I didn't rate it a 5-star. On Goodreads, I put it was a 4.5, and the first time that was because I couldn't in good conscience give that book a 5-star after the bathtub scene. And if you've read the book, you know the scene. The second time it got an 8.5, which does equate a 4.5. So I left it at a 4.5 on Goodreads. This is done. I can take my bookmark out. I still can't find my real bookmark, so I'm using this folded piece of tape. Thursday, or like turd day. I wish it was Friday. Not feeling great today. I'm real tired, real crampy, really ready for it to be the weekend. It is 1:30 now. I already did work. You know, that thing that we all have to do for some reason. And I am running out to an appointment. And then later I have a phone call with a friend from high school, which I have not talked to her in a year and a half or so. So it'd be so good to catch back up with her, because she's one of the few people I have stayed in touch with. I am currently reading A Torch Against the Night, and this morning I was 18% through, and as of right now I'm 53% through, so I'm making a good dent. My goal is to finish that book today, but I also need to do all the other stuff that I mentioned I need to do today, and I need to edit a video for tomorrow. But the video is only 20 minutes with all of the raw footage, so it really will not take me a long time to edit. I shouldn't be worried, because I think the audiobook has, like, on the speed I'm listening to it, 3 hours left, so that's not even that bad, honestly. Like, I should be able to get that done even with everything else that I'm doing. Well, I was going to update you, oh, that's a little bit more light, in the kitchen while I made dinner, but our kitchen light's not working, so it's literal darkness while I'm cooking. That's fantastic. I FaceTimed with my friend from high school for a lot longer than I thought I was going to, but it was so good. It was so important, and I'm so glad I did it. And we have a date for another future call. Saying that means that I haven't finished A Torch Against the Night, and it is 7 o'clock, and I have about 3 hours left in the audiobook. So I'm not gonna finish the audiobook tonight. I can't decide if I'm going to try to listen to a little bit more tonight, or if I'm just gonna take a break for the rest of the evening. I might end up listening to about another hour tonight, but I don't think I'm really gonna listen to much more past that. Tomorrow I will finish the book, and then I'll be moving on to The Tiger's Daughter. I don't have a ton to say about the book right now, especially because it's a sequel and I can't say much about what it's about. about, but I'm enjoying it. This is the first time I'm rereading it, and I'm loving the reread. Harper, if you know, like the video. Love Helene. She's my favorite character, has and forever always will be. I love her POVs. They are fantastic. Recommend this book series. It's so good. There's gonna be a role coming up in this video very shortly, and in that role, I'm going to try to get Reaper into it. So I finished A Torch Against the Night, but I realized I bought plants yesterday and I never showed them to you. It is storming outside, so we're gonna do this real quick. Okay, so yesterday I bought a giant thing of lavender. I think it was like $6. It's huge. I always want lavender. Oh my God, we're starting to get wet here. And then I bought 4 little herbs because I wanted to plant them in my planter, and oh my God, we're getting so wet here. So really quickly, I bought this one. I can't remember what this one is. What's the tag? This is oregano. And then I also bought cilantro. And then I also got parsley. Oh my God, you're soaked. And then basil. Okay, so like I said, I finished A Torch Against the Night, and I rated it higher than I did the first time, which is really weird for me. I almost never rate books higher the second time I read them. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. The time before I rated it 3.5. So it's not like it was ridiculously higher. It was just, I felt the same about the book, but this time the moments that I loved them more than the first time, and the moments that I disliked, I didn't dislike them as much as the first time. I think that now that I've read a lot more YA fantasy, my expectations for those awful cringy moments are a little bit lower. The cringe moments in here, because of the YA fantasy-ness of it, aren't as bad because I've read so many worse ones. Speaking of, I've been making some Pantone stickers, and you can buy them on my Redbubble, link down below, but I'm working on some for my Etsy, and I have one for, it's a glossy sticker for An Ember in the Ashes. I need to cut them out, but here's what they look like. So they kind of look like a Pantone sheet, if you know what that is. And I've been doing some for lots of book covers. I'm working on some for Strange the Dreamer too. And right now, at this moment of me filming, they are not on my Etsy. But I am hoping that by the time this video comes out, they will be on my Etsy. But I know 100% that they are on my Redbubble. So if you definitely want to go get some, and there's more than just those two, go check those out. So next books that I'm going to be reading for, you already know this, I repeat myself a bunch in these videos. I'm going to be picking up The Tiger's Daughter, which right here, and this is approximately where I am at in the book. I don't know how much I'm gonna read of it today. It's going slow. And then I'm gonna be picking up The Killing Moon. And then I also need to pick up Mistborn and Words of Radiance, which is over there, so I can't show it to you. I can't bring myself to wait anymore. I know when I'm going to be reading all of these books, and I kind of want to know what I'm going to be reading going into next week. So we're going to roll 3 times again. So we left off on go. So there's my little marker, and here's the dice, and I'll roll where you can see it. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chance! 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 Oh, chance means the prompts tell me what I read, not the prompts. Okay, here's the chance cards. Oh, probably shouldn't show them to you. Chance means that the cards have like a specific book on the back of them, not a specific prompt on the back of them. So we're gonna do some good shuffling. Oh God. So the thing is, I told you that I made a secret TBR for this month of books that I want to get through, and I made sure that none of them were on these chance cards. So these chance cards are a mix of books I really, really want to read, yet haven't been able to put into my TBRs for one reason or another, sequels that I need to get to, and some books that I don't want to read, / I think I put a few books in here that I DNF'd. And here we go. So, is that 1? I think that's 2. And it is The City of Embers. Nice! Actually, this is perfect because I need to read this for a video, so that's great. And dice. Next roll. 7. Can you see that? 7. Again. 6, 7. LGBTQ plus representation for the second time. I'm getting a lot of duplicate rolls. My dice must be broken. 8. 7, 8. Oh my God. Does that say chance again? That says chance. You see that? You see that? Oh my God. Okay. Well, here's the cards. I didn't put them away yet, so we're gonna shuffle them. And I'm gonna shuffle them on camera one more time. Okay. Here we go. Top card. I'm nervous. Oh. Jade War. Oh my god. Joanne's gonna be so excited. I should have known. I should have known she would have done me dirty like this. I specifically borrowed 7 books from my library that I was really interested in reading over the next few weeks, and none of them will work for this. Let's start over. The first roll I got was a chance card, and for this I don't have the book. And for this I got this City of Ember, which is a book I have read twice before now with varying degrees of interest in it both times. The first time I read it, I was actually in elementary school and loved it. The second time I read it, I was a certain age past that and didn't love it. How old was I? Was I in high school? I don't know anymore. So I'm going to be reading this again, and this is for a video, so you won't be seeing me talk about this one a lot in these vlogs, but I'll mention when I start it and when I finish it for you all. And then next I got LGBTQ plus representation. This is the one I struggled with for a while. I'm just really in the mood for a thriller, but all the thrillers with LGBTQ plus representation, not all, but a lot of the ones are the person of representation being the murdered person. And I didn't know if I really wanted that, and it was kind of a struggle. So I finally decided, screw thrillers, going for a good fantasy. Really quickly, oh, this is so crooked. Next day I'm into cutting in here because I've made a decision. I'm actually gonna change the book that I originally placed for LGBTQ plus representation because I've been looking at the list of books that I've read this month already, and the ones I have completed, there are very few authors of color. So I decided to swap out the one I originally had with a book that has an author of color. So instead of reading whatever I said in the video, and I'm not going to tell you right now because it'll come back up in the future, I'm going to be reading The Sorcerer of the Wind Deeps, which is a short fantasy sci-fi novella about I'm pretty sure it's a gay sorcerer. I know it has LGBT representation, and from the little blurb I read, I'm very convinced that the main character is the person who is representing the queerness of the book. But I was happy to swap this one out because one, I was sent this book from Tor, I want to say it was, because they send out free books every single month if you join their newsletter, and 2, it's only like 200 pages, so it's pretty dang short. I should be able to get through it in a day once I start reading it. Do I know what it's actually about? No. Are we surprised by that? Also no. And then finally, for the third book that I rolled for, I really enjoyed the first one. I'm rolling my eyes because I just didn't want to read the second one this soon. Jade War. I am borrowing it from my library. I'll be listening to it. It'll probably be like a 3-day listen. I don't know how long it is, but that's an approximation because I think the first one took me 2 days. I'll be enjoying myself. Gosh darn it, I will. Oh, my library has it on hold right now, so I should be getting it in the next few days. So you'll be seeing me read that one definitely next week. I didn't want this. I didn't want this. Why is the board so mean? Is it the board or is it the dice? I wanted to pick out the books I wanted to read. I got 2 chance cards. So my plan was to come and update you early this morning, sometime in the afternoon, and then again at night, because I was having plans to read all day long. Apologies for the red cheek, I've been sitting like this. But that didn't happen because I did some updates for some other vlogs that I'm doing. Those will be coming out soon. And I just didn't feel like saying the same things back to back. Let's start off. Last night, I decided to start The City of Ember, and I made it 50% through the book. Then went to my parents' house to watch The Greatest Showman, which was awesome. I love it. I cry every single time. Not like weeping, but like at least 1 to 2 tears from each eye. I woke up this morning and went on a walk and finished The City of Ember, and I enjoyed it. I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think if you want to know all the thoughts and details on that, go check out the video. It'll be coming out very shortly. And then after that, I was not totally sure what I was going to read today. I knew I had said I was going to work on The Tiger's Daughter, but I was dreading picking that book up. But some of my book club members have been anxiously waiting for me to talk about that book, so I picked it up. and I read to the 50% mark, and I was so bored out of my mind. I went online and read some reviews to see if I should keep with it or not, and I found one review that said that the middle chunk was really a slog and kind of unimportant to the story, but if you stuck with it till the end, you would be glad that you did. So I picked up the physical copy. I had been listening to the audiobook, picked up the physical copy and kind of skim read from 50% to 75%, and then matched up the audiobook at 75% and finished it. So I've officially finished Tiger's Daughter. I have a lot of things to say about this book and I don't know how to say any of them. Am I glad I finished it? Yes. Did I like the book? Maybe? I don't know. It was slow and it was a slog, and most of the time I wasn't enjoying myself. But there's no but. There's no but. I was going to say I liked what it said, but I don't like what it had to say as a book. It wasn't a great lesson. It wasn't like something that stood out super special to me. Would I recommend people reading it? Yes. I don't think this is the only time I'm going to read it yet. I can't stand it. This is a really hard one to talk about. Now that I've read the book, I can kind of tell you all a little bit more about it, but I'm not gonna go in depth here because I will do that in my wrap up once I've had some time to think about this book and I can better articulate what I want to say. So The Tiger's Daughter is about these two women who are on opposing sides of a warring nation. The culture in this world takes many, many influences from Chinese and Japanese and Mongolian culture and history. And actually, I read online, someone said that both of the women are actually inspired by real life women that lived in the world. And I don't know how true that is. So I think if you're wondering about the cultural influences or whether or not this was appropriation, I'm not the person to talk on that because I really don't know myself, but I know there were lots of reviews that went in depth with that kind of stuff, so I recommend looking those up if you're worried. So the two women, opposing sides, their mothers were best friends growing up, and they are born very close in age to each other, so they kind of grow up being friends. When they first meet, they're not friends, and then they live on opposite sides of the world, so they become pen pals to kind of, their mothers want them to become pen pals, I believe, and they do that in order to become friends, and then slowly they grow and bond through of writing to each other about the problems that happen in their lives. And then eventually they do kind of re-enter each other's lives. But the entire story is told through this girl's perspective. I'm so bad with names, so I'm not even gonna attempt to remember hers right now. And she is writing letters to this girl who's the Empress, and the book starts out with the Empress receiving like a bundle of letters, and it's this girl's perspective of their whole entire childhood, and you're not sure like why they're not together anymore and why this one girl would be writing these letters about their times together when like obviously they were together in those times, so why is this one girl writing about them to this other girl? Yeah, I'm super curious to pick up the sequel, but I read some reviews online from people saying that if you thought this one was slow, the sequel is even worse. So I know the sequel is a lot longer, so I don't know if I'm ever going to actually be able to read the sequel, because the sequel picks up right where this book ends, which I won't tell you how that happens, but the sequel is about a period before that. So it's more letters about the two girls, except the two girls, it's like the time when the two girls weren't together. So I'm curious to know what happens. I'm really invested in these two women. I think that they hooked me and I wanted to know what was gonna happen to them and what happened to cause this separation that we know has happened. And I think I was also really curious to know more about this world, because you start off and it's almost like you don't know that there's magic in this world. It's very magical realism, but as the story goes, the magic like builds and builds and builds, and all of a sudden it's this like grand thing that is throughout the entire land. And so that was really interesting. I didn't like the letter format. I didn't enjoy reading these letters of like the past. It made me feel like the entire book was telling me, because she literally is telling, she's not showing. It felt slow because as she would be writing about stuff that'd be happening, she'd be like, oh yeah, remember that time we went and did that thing? It reminds me of the time my uncle did this other thing. and it'd be like, stop tangenting and just get to the plot. It basically felt like there was no plot to this story. There wasn't, like, nothing, it didn't feel like there was like a climax and a build, and like something did happen at the end, but like it didn't feel like a normal plot. It felt like a bunch of letters that someone wrote to another person. I just think that's really slow, and I don't think many people would enjoy that. That's what I have to say about this book. I talked a little bit longer than I meant to on it, but now I'm going to do all of my journaling about it so that at the end of the month I'm not like, what the hell was this book about? So all I have left that I've rolled for is The Killing Moon, Mistborn, Words of Radiance, and Jade War. I'm kind of pushing off Words of Radiance for like the last 10 days of the month. I know I haven't said that yet, but that's kind of what's going on in my head. Mistborn, I don't know why I'm pushing it off. I'm just waiting to start that. And Jade War, I am waiting for the library to send it to me. So if I pick up another book, it has to be The Killing Moon. So I started The Killing Moon, but I realized that I'm not going to be able to get far enough into the book today for me to even talk about it in this vlog. And since today is Saturday evening, there's kind of no point in me finishing this vlog. So, I mean, not finishing, but for me to continue talking in this vlog. I'm here to end it for you. You may now leave. Well, once I'm done talking, you may now leave. But I just want to quickly tell you what you can expect at the beginning of next week. Since I'm ending this vlog a little bit early, I'm going to be starting the next one a little bit early. Get ready, because at the beginning of next week's vlog, I will be talking about The Killing Moon. As I said, I've already started it, and I'll be rolling once again. So if you're looking forward to more rolling, more chaos, stick around for that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. I'd really love to talk to you about them, but I don't remember how my outro goes. So until next time, I will talk to you in the comments. Bye.